Footwork Overview for Historical Fencing, specifically for one-handed weapons. Section 1. What the heck do I do with these feet? Now we're starting off pretty simple with footwork today, but we're going to get way more complicated as things go along. So if you want to see the interesting stuff, make sure you stick around till the end. Start with your feet in an L configuration with your dominant foot forward. Then step out to slightly wider than your shoulders. This will usually be with your heels aligned. If you like to be a little bit more lateral, you can have your heel centered to your left foot. If you're like me, and you want to use your offhand more, or utilize an offhand defensive weapon, you can separate your feet a bit to square up your hips and shoulders. A few tips on movement before we move on. First of all, whatever direction you're going, that foot goes first. Forward, front foot. Backwards, rear foot. Left, left, right, right. No galloping, I command you! Second, never take a bigger recovery step than you did for your movement step. Feet should never be brought together between your steps. There are some times, especially in saber fencing, where you'll bring your feet together, for example with a slip or with a shift, but generally speaking, it's suboptimal. And finally, when moving left and right, be sure and compass around your opponent. Don't just move in a straight line, you'll just both end up offline. Now for our intermediate and advanced footwork. First up is the double advance, double retreat. These are great for positioning, especially when one just isn't quite enough, especially against tall folks. Second, we have the advanced crossover and the retreating crossover. These are used to really quickly cover a lot of ground. Next we have the lunge. We've talked about the lunge in a previous video, but let's take just a little closer look at the feet here. Next we have the advanced lunge. This one covers a bit more ground than the conventional lunge. It's really aggressive footwork. It's great for getting in on evasive opponents. Next is the retreating lunge. This is excellent for dealing with very aggressive opponents who come in on your measure very strongly. Next we have the crossover lunge. A bit of a situational technique here, but it's still useful upon occasion. Next up we have the balestra and the balestra lunge. Now we're starting to get tricky. This is great for catching your opponent off guard and putting them on the defensive as you come flying into measure. Now we have the retreating crossover lunge, and this is mostly used to deal with opponents that charge into measure and chase you with multiple attacks. And finally we have the box step, and this is used extensively when throwing cuts, and in situations where you need large lateral movements to accompany some other action. Now we've covered a ton of ground today, and we're only just getting started. So make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.